Thanks for inviting me for the session, and I hope that I can bring you some value. I'm going to talk about something, networking, as you can see from the title. But before starting, I would like to ask you, what is your perception about networking? Do you like networking? Do you network? Do you love networking? Do you love networking? Yes, no? If yes, raise your hand. No? Okay, that's good. Maybe I can change your perception, I hope. So yeah, let's start maybe by me, so I can present myself. My name is Pedro Ferreira. I'm Portuguese. I came to Frankfurt 10 years ago, and I've been doing different initiatives to support entrepreneurship. That's why I'm here today. And during this process, I think I've been trying to build a lot of platforms and networks. You can maybe look for me on LinkedIn and find out that I have a lot of connections, 30,000, which is at least the maximum so far for me. And I've been doing an average of around 2 events. Before Corona, I was attending 2 events per week, but now, yeah, it's harder. I guess I'm trying to keep the social distancing, but still with the online opportunities, I think maybe pretty much, if I keep doing online, maybe I've raised a bit from 2 to 3, 4 events per week. But still, yeah, I think this gives you a bit an overview about myself. So I support Founders Institute and Singularity University, which are platforms that help, just like Unibutter does, maybe a bit further down the ideation. So we support founders when they have the idea to go from 0 to 1. And I asked you about the networking. How do you perceive networking? Because I would like to somehow tell you that it's one of the most important topics that sometimes people don't give attention to it. Because, for example, this week you have been covering a lot of topics. I'm not saying that those topics are not important, they are, but still you can be pretty good at finance, you can be pretty good at develop your idea, but if you are not able to really communicate about it to other people, if you are not able to convince people that you are the right person to talk to about this subject, and if you are not able to really build the connection with that person, then you can forget about everything the rest, because other person will come to the same market, to the same idea, and just do the connections that you are not doing. So really, I think it's a basic stuff that I'm gonna show you, but pay attention to it, try to put in practice some of the tips that I'm gonna give you, because although it's a soft skill, you need to work on them. As a founder, as a person, not only for the startup world, as well for corporate, if you find that this is the way you want to do in the future, this applies to everything of different things in life. So, because in the end, yeah, this is quite a cliche, your network is your network. So don't forget about this, because it's one of the key messages that I want to give you today. So if you want to read from other people and not listening for me, I would advise you these books that are here. I think my favorite one is by far Kate Ferrazzi. He's a really great speaker, very energizing person, and the book is called Never Eat Alone. On the other extreme, Porter Gale, a female founder, it's as well a very good reference in the industry. But let's start. The most important thing behind networking is why are you doing it? So you need to ask always the question, why to network? I would advise not to do for these two reasons. So maybe this one is easier. Don't do it for flirting or for dating or whatever, because you will end up ruining everything. Or this one, like just to sales, like a marketplace. That's not the reason why you should do networking. In the end, you may end up doing that if you are lucky, but that shouldn't be your focus when you start networking. So yeah, see networking as a way to build opportunities and to build relations with potential investors, clients, job opportunities, synergies, but yeah, don't go through networking as a process of really hardcore selling or hardcore dating, because that's not why you should network. Indeed, networking is a long process. So it's gonna be like something like this. It's gonna be a friend of a friend of a friend. In the end, it's not like, don't expect it to be the first direct connection. Maybe in some years it will be, but first you need to start to create the value from a friend of a friend and so on, and start creating your network. And when you start building it, so this network that I'm talking about, try to focus on the future. So know where you want to go and start building it. So be strategic and don't expect that it's going to be on the first step. So if you start creating the network, I would tell you to do it based on 2 or 3 criteria, which could be your passions. For example, if you love tech industry, try to start with that vertical, tech, for example. Then location is obviously. Either you start building your network where you are or where you want to be. But don't start doing a whole networking in all the countries, because in the end you are building really broad, but there is very difficult to make the matches between the connections. And yeah, the industry, normally I relate industry as well to the passions. And the idea about when you go outside, you need to always be yourself, obviously, but as well to try to show what you want to be. So if you really want to be seen as a leader, or if you really want to be seen as a key person of something, you need to act like that. Even if you are not, you need to do it, because people will see you and will remember you like that. And yeah, this is quite a good parallel. So it's like a sport, it's like a gym, it's like muscle, it's something that you need to practice a lot, because the more you do it, the stronger it gets in terms of networking. So if you stop doing it, it's gonna lose it, you will lose it. So you need to do it, and here the timing, it's important. So that's why time management is very important. If you start building relations, you need to try to have a good timing to talk to people, to really do follow-ups, and to also not ask too much time of them, because people don't have the entire time in the world, and time is money for most of the people, but you need to find a good way to really quickly address people and do it recurrently. So yeah, time for me, it's one of the most important factors that you should take in consideration when networking. So related to timing, it's this, to try to find opportunities to create value. So for example, when I'm reading news and I see a news about the topic that is very relevant about a sector, and I say, okay, this should be really important for this friend or my connection X. So what I do is I pick this and I send to this person quite quickly and say, okay, I think this is very relevant for you. And that's where it's something very easy for me and that this person values a lot. And I think you can do it quite easily. So when you know the person that you want to build a relation with, it's like finding a good excuse to touch base with them. And this creates really the bond between you and your network, because you create value to them and they see what you are doing to them and they appreciate you. So I really would invite you to look at this as an opportunity to really get a stronger network for yourself. The other one, yeah, it's quite an easy one as well, but please, for you to grow your network, use other people. Don't just go to LinkedIn and start adding people because, yeah, it's an easy way, but it's not the way that will bring you value. So whenever I have an issue or I want to step in a new field that I don't have any expertise, normally what I try to see is, okay, which person on my network could help me with? I address this person and say, okay, this is what I need right now. Who would you advise me to talk to? And this person is going to tell me, okay, talk to this or that. And then I say, okay, you know them. Could you introduce them to me? Because the way that this person is going to introduce you to this person will make the availability increase. So the person that you want to address will be much more open to talk to you, to give you feedback, to give you value, because they were introduced by someone. So they see the link and they see that they are paying back as well to the person that just introduced you. So don't misunderstand or don't misuse the power of your first connections, because that's where you can then grow to other connections. So I just mentioned this. Yes, the online world is also very important and can create a really big opportunity, but you need to know how to leverage it. So I just gave the example of not how to do it, because yeah, you don't just start adding people, but you can do it once the connection was established. So, and that's a very good way to not lose the contact and to follow up, because then you start having an excuse to add this person to your networks, and then you start to leverage the relation and the link between you. So this is a very important part. I already spoke about one error, but let's go through some errors. So one big error is not being target. So in the beginning, I should say target with 2 or 3 criteria: passions, location, vertical or industry. If you don't do it, then you risk to start talking to the wrong people, or to just lose time and lose money. So you really need to be targeted. I hate every day when I open my mobile phone and I have someone from a completely different industry or a different area of the world that I cannot give any input to them. So when they address me, I'm like, okay, I don't have time, I'm sorry, I'm not an expert about cannabis in Israel. I'm sorry, I wish I could, but I'm not the person to support you. Or nutrition, I don't know. Try to really build relations with meaningful targeting criteria. Then, oversharing. Oversharing is an issue, so be really concise about the time and the information that you give. I've been in multiple networking events where people were just oversharing. And oversharing is an issue because it can either the person cannot relate at all to the things that you are talking, or just start to be fed up about what you're saying and just move on, and then you lose the opportunity to really make the connection. Oversharing can be giving too many details when the person is not yet ready to receive the inputs. It can be For example, giving a lot of details on your personal life when you are doing the ice breaking. It can be using the wrong terms. So yeah, watch out when the connection is being established, because sharing is nice, but if you have overshare it, it can be awkward. Then, another issue is focusing only on you. Don't do it. So if you are establishing a relation, you cannot just say, okay, this is me, this is what I want, please help me. This is not going to work like that. So you need to understand the person that you are talking to. You need to understand what are their goals, what are their situations, and how can you support them. So, for example, when I'm talking to a potential investor, I would first warm up and say, okay, I've been tracking the investments that you have been doing. I've seen you focus on this industry. By the way, that's the industry that I work with. So maybe you can relate to my startup, talk to me. But first I told the person that I know what they are going at, so that they have been investing in my sector, or if I'm scouting for business partners, I can say, well, I saw the event that you did, it was great. I've been working on the event industry as well. This is what I would improve. These are my ideas, giving some value to the person, and then suggest, should we meet for a coffee to go over this? Do you see some synergies? So always try to guess the problem that the person has, or relate to something that you know about the person, and then talk about you. Then, this one is also very important, because some people give, and don't ask back. For example, I did it for several years to really build a network, always be giving, and not asking back. And that's also an issue, because then either people grant that everything that you do is for free, or they think that you are always available, or you end up not building value for yourself. So you also need to balance the equation, because if you give, at some point you will also ask back. You have the right to do so. Not asking back is also a mistake, because people can think, okay, he is on a high position, he doesn't value us, he never asked for anything because he thinks that he is the best guy in the world or whatsoever. No, there is always something that you can ask back. Either just, how can I support? It's also a way to show, or how can you support me? It's a question that shows that it's a relation, it's just not one way. So yeah, sometimes we need to know how to ask. But watch out on how you ask, because sometimes asking the wrong questions is also an issue, or asking too much is definitely an issue. So asking for money, for example, there is a very common line that, if you ask for money, you get advice. If you ask for advice, you get money. So you need to try to understand that the way you ask things are perceived differently for the person that you are addressing. And yeah, I think this one is the most important one. I've been with multiple people, I've been in multiple events. What I really hate is when people don't follow up. Because you lose 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, with the person, you identify a lot of things, and then on the other side, the person doesn't follow up. Well, for me, this is a red flag, and if this happens to me, it leads, either I would remove the person from my network, or stop investing time in that relation. I know that sometimes the follow-up, there are some rules that say, okay, you need to follow up with an email in the next 24 hours, follow up with maybe a call in 48 hours whatsoever. For me, it's a bit more flexible, because sometimes just last week I was sick, for example. I couldn't follow up with everything, but at least I saw my list of to-dos. I sent a message yesterday to everyone and excused myself and say, okay, I'm sorry, I've been delaying to answering you. This is the reason why. Let's try to catch up this week. So yeah, sometimes the follow-up can be managed flexible, but yeah, if you don't follow up, yeah, you are losing time, you are losing connections, and I would advise, yeah, if you don't have the time to follow up, then don't even do networking. Okay, any questions, by the way, before moving to this? No? Okay. So my idea was to give you some tips, as the presentation just mentioned. I would start with offline events because, we are in an offline event, so we can start using them. One of the things that I always tell people is, when you join events, don't be stressed about it. Really relax. Be yourself. Have fun. Because if you are too stressed, if you start freaking out about the event, this is visible. And first impressions still count a lot, and you can change it, or it's difficult to change it. So when you go to offline events, try really to be yourself and to be relaxed, because people recognize it. And you need to enjoy it. Don't rush on trying to close deals in that specific moment, because this shows as well that you are in stress, or that you are lacking money, or that you are lacking clients. I think you need to see it on the long run. Listen a lot. So listen to what people are saying, because as I just said, when you listen and you understand what is the situation, then you can add value to the person. And smile. I think smile is a powerful resource that you need to use it more, because when you smile, some doors will open for sure. When going to events, be organized. So if you are investing your time to go to events, please be organized before the event. Try to understand who's going, try to understand who's the topic, try to understand which values you can bring to that event. Prepare yourself, be on time, because if you are not on time, if you are too late, you are missing parts of it, you are perceived as a late person, whatever. Take notes always, because these notes are the most important part for your follow-up, because sometimes it may seem that, okay, I don't need to take any notes, I will remember, but I'm telling you, sooner or later you will forget about it. So if you have it written down on a paper, on your mobile phone, whatever, on a business card, you will then remember, okay, I need to talk to this person because of this specific subject. And then it's much easier to do the follow-up. And always find time to debrief. So if you go on an event this week, maybe this week you will not have time to do the follow-up, but save some time in your agenda for next week to go over that notes and do the follow-up. This one is quite basic one, and some people still discuss it. Should I have business cards or not? I kept this slide here just to tell you that I think people should have business cards still in the day of today, because as I just mentioned, it's a physical thing. You keep it, you will struggle or find the business card in 1 year again, and maybe you will contact the person. I don't know, I have so many business cards at my office that sometimes I just find some business cards and I say, okay, I completely forgot about this person. I forgot to do the follow-up, but here there are still the notes. I can still contact the person and say, well, excuse me, we met 1 year ago or 2 years ago at Startup Safari. Do you remember? Do you remember?
Of course.
I'm sorry that we did not have lunch maybe last week. I don't know, you always find an excuse to try to reinforce the relation. If you are investing in a business card, I tell you, just don't print just your name, and try to really have a very good business card that stands out, because people will remember you for the business card. So if you really have a lot of ongoing networking sessions, sometimes you really remember the person because of either the smile or the business card. So yeah.
Just in case you don't have a copy stock yet, so you don't have a copy name, how would you design a business card? So just the name, contact information in a good design, or should you put any information about you on the card?
It's a good question. So for example, in my case, I have multiple projects going on, so I have multiple business cards, but on top I have my own. So and I try to design this one that sums up the different projects that I work with, and okay, the details that I leave in that business card are more general, but still it's a way to show people that okay, I'm Pedro, this is what I'm working on, these are my contacts. If you want to reach out because of Founders Institute, this also works. So yeah, I would say that it's always good to have your own on top of your corporate business.
You actually have your own logo, right?
I do.
Yeah, and it's a great idea. I have also one. I don't use it. I have also one. This is personal branding. You have your own website, your own logo. This is always a great idea.
Okay.
And yeah, moving on now to the online part, because nowadays it's even more important. My take here is, just because you cannot shake hands, it doesn't mean that you cannot network. Indeed, people more and more use the digital opportunities to do it. So these are some of my tips to start leveraging the online events. So the first thing you need to do is really to start sharing about the event beforehand. So I would say beforehand, during, and after, because if you do it on social media, then it's when you start to build your audience, the visibility, not only about the event, but you also syndicate or try to cope yourself with the event. If the event has some sort of platform, invest time on creating your own profile, because this is where people will find it. So don't just leave your name and your email. If the platform allows you to insert links, insert as much links as possible, your LinkedIn profile, a YouTube video of your product. Always use this as an opportunity, because it's free organic traffic for you and for your services. Invest time looking at participants. So in real world or offline events, it's not so easy to do it, but in online events, normally you can check. Those are the people who are attending. Those are the people who were interested. Maybe they are not in the event, but still, if they show an interest in going to the event, you still should try to build some connection there, because they shown interest about the event. So maybe they did not attend the event, but they wish they could. You still could try to leverage that message. So yeah, invest time looking at the participant list, at people that were on waiting rooms or waiting lists, because that's where you can create those opportunities. Once you are in the platform of the event, for example, be active. So if you are there in the event, try to comment, try to interact with people, try to interact with the speakers, because that's where you can stand out, not only to the speakers, but as well to the other audience or the other participants. Because if you are only there listening, then maybe the value is just half of it. The other half, you need to create it. So yeah, if you are joining digital events, try to make the maximum out of it. The last one, although most of the people are joining from home, I think it's very easy for us, just to be relaxed and in t-shirt or maybe in pajamas, whatever, or not having a good setup and just using the regular the desktop camera. I think if really want to deliver a professional image, if you really want to do it for your business, you also need to invest a bit to look professional. So try to have a good setup, try to have a good outfit, because if you want to be perceived like that, you need to do it. So if you want to be perceived as a outgoing, startup, regular, whatever, flexible, then be okay with just a t-shirt or even a pajama, whatever. But if it's high-end, try to also deliver these from your side. And any questions there? Online, offline events? No? Have you just read what I said? Try to try to engage a bit. No. Okay. I'm sorry. This, I think, it's the last part of my presentation. I still have a lot of time. And my idea here is even to do a parallel with what I did to go from 0 to 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. And not only on LinkedIn, but in real life. And I tried to summarize it in 9 tips. And the first one is quite basic, but you need to do it. So if you really want to become a leader in your industry, you need to have a story. You need to create something, inspire people, and to share about it. So if you want to be a regular person, then this is not going to be a growth hacking for you. But if you really intend to leverage networking as a tool, you need always to become an inspiring person or have something to deliver to your audience. There is a very easy way to do it, because as I say, you need to target. So when you target something, try to use the timing, as I said before, by spotting trends. So if you are working in an industry and you are on top of what is happening in that industry, try to share about it. Try to give your inputs on those topics. And you will always find excuses, because luckily we live in a world that is so fast-paced, so many challenges, so many changes. You always spot things that are happening and that you can share about it. You don't need to invest, hours creating an article. Sometimes it's just sharing a link. It creates value, because people then easily find some relevant content about it and they will appreciate you. So this is something that I really would advise every one of you to do. And this relates that then people will remember you. So they will remember what you're doing, eventually for a good reason. And that's where you start to build your traction on your network. Participating in networking events, it's very, very important, and try to do it online and offline. So try to do it really omni-channel. And when you do it, be active. So don't just join for the sake of joining. Sometimes you can also do it because sometimes you are not in a good mood, but try really to do as much as possible to join those events and have an active role. Then, I think the 5th point relates a lot to me, because when I arrived in Frankfurt, I knew nothing about Frankfurt. I knew about Paris, I knew about Madrid, I knew about Lisbon, But Frankfurt, well, it was too German, there was no English content, I don't speak German, so it was very hard for me. And I was like looking, how can I have an active role? So what I did, it was really to try to scout who are the top local leaders, and I'm going to talk to them. And that's what I did. So I identified those top local leaders for that specific industry. I presented myself, I asked advices, I asked what is missing, what can I do to support? And that was a good way, an easy way to step in, because I identified those people and I started to establish the connection. They started as well to present me to others. So it was the best entry point that I could wish for. And I advise you to do it as much as possible. Sometimes it's very hard, I know, okay, how should I address this person that is the top manager of this company? I know, it's challenging. Maybe you will get a lot of no's in the way, but if you find the right excuse, the right link, people will be open about it. So for example, this is not in Frankfurt, but some years ago, I was trying to connect with my favorite sports club in Portugal, and I sent several emails to them, offering my services. Most probably they put me on spam and they stopped responding me, and at some point I gave up. But one day I was reading the news, I saw the name of the person in an interview, I said what the person was writing, and in that day I just said, okay, I'm going to call this person to say that I'm reading the article and I really want to talk about the article. So that's what I did. And the person on the other side was very surprised and said, well, no one ever gave me feedback about one of my articles. It's really cool, let's meet. And I met this person, and in the end, it was really cool because we shared a lot of ideas about marketing, and he even offered me to work for this club. And I told him, well, I was not looking for a job, thank you, that's not what I want. But indeed, I have a lot of ideas and a lot of products that I've been trying to sell your company. Do you want me to resend the emails? And the guy said, well, why not? Send me one of the emails. And after 1 month, we started a great project. And we even won awards because of that. And I always tell this person, do you know what? We did it because I called you, because I saw the article on the magazine. So yeah, you never know where the opportunities and the links are lying. So always try to build those. So yeah, don't be afraid of talking to top leaders. One day you will find the right way to address them. And similar to top leaders or multipliers, connectors, is communities, because communities, in the end, they always have a community manager or an influencer, whatever, but it's a group of people. And in the end, if you start talking to this community, someone will answer you for sure. If you spot that the community is not working well, you can create your own community. So, for example, and this relates now to Frankfurt Valley, one of the communities that I built. 5 years ago, I kind of felt that the international community or international founders were not very well supported here in Frankfurt. It was my feeling because of not speaking German. But afterwards, after talking to a lot of founders with a similar profile, I understood, okay, it's not just only me, it's real. So it's difficult for expats or migrant backgrounds to start a business in Germany or in Frankfurt. There are a lot of communities. good ones. I appreciate what they are doing, but at that point I felt, okay, maybe they are missing to support these people, just like me. So if this community is not responding, well, let's create one. And that's what I've challenged those people that I was talking to and said, okay, let's start something called Frankfurt Valley. Let's try to sparkle a bit the ecosystem and make it more visible internationally. Let's start to build content and events in English. And eventually, after 2 or 3 years, it started to grow. We have a lot of followers. We have good partnerships. We stepped in a good place in the ecosystem. So, and I think we are supporting a lot of players like Univater, for example. And that's something that you can do for your businesses. If you understand, okay, these are the key leaders, these are the key communities, but still they are not addressing this point very well, have the guts and do it. Just try to show that you can do it. Don't be afraid of failing, because failing is a learning. I also failed a lot, so you always learn something with failures. So don't be afraid of creating your own stuff. Start with quality, obviously. That's why I say target, go to the top leaders and so on. Start with quality, and then quality will bring quantity. That's why I had said, don't just start building your network without criteria or without links. Invest in the quality, quantity will come. And there will be the day where quantity will be an issue. I can tell you I receive a lot of contacts every day, and for me now, quantity is an issue, because I need to say no, and you will need to say no at some point, and you will start looking at quality as the factor of why you are accepting or not people into your network. Personal branding, it's something that Andres already said, so I think it's important that when you do it, that you put your personal branding into it, because that's how people will remember you. So invest time on understanding what is your own mission, where do you want to go, what are your values, how do you represent yourself, because all of this personal branding will also have a good effect on your networking. I don't know, are you having any session on personal branding?
No.
No? Okay, maybe next
time.
Next time
Sure.
you should include it as well. And yeah, the last one, it's really about investing the time and maybe even money on this, because time is money in a way as well. So I would really tell you, you can feel that this is not a rocket science thing what I've been showing you, but if you don't invest time on this, as I said in the beginning, most probably someone will do and will overlap you. So you can have the best product on the world again, but if your competitor has something similar and has a best network, he will beat you every time, every time. I'm talking about product, and I could say the same about a corporate job, where people, if they are not able to use their network, someone else will do it and will get the promotion. So really don't misuse the power of networking. So this was all the content part, but I also wanted to give you some examples. I will start maybe with bad examples. I'm sorry if the names read them. Just close your eyes. And I just summed up some examples from LinkedIn, but this can happen on WhatsApp, it can happen per email. I think, for example, this message was very, I know it's very
Generic.
It's very generic and very urgent in a way. I don't know this person SAP gives me a good feeling, but then I think not knowing this person and receiving this message, for me, it's very hard because I'm a very good person, just to let you know, it was very hard to delete this, but come on, I cannot just receive this message like that. And the same message like this I receive every day 10. I think if the person would find a way to show me a link, I think there is no link between this person and me, but yeah, that's just to mention you that this is a wrong way to approach people. It's asking too much, because I don't know this person, so why should this person ask me this? And the same goes, for example, to this one, which is not so much aggressive, but still, it's only focusing on me, in this case, on them. So they are really like saying, okay, we are the leaders in e-commerce, you want to discuss about it. So what? I know a lot of e-commerce solutions. If you don't sum up why you are the best one and why you will create value to me, why should I invest 5 minutes to talk to you? I don't know. And for me, these are some red flags. Here I try to give you an overview a bit more general. So for example, this was a good one. Someone that clearly stated, I'm building my network in Frankfurt and would like to connect to you. Okay, but this person at least said that it was Frankfurt, that he was building a network. So for me, this one it's okay. But yeah, these first two, sending a request without sending any message, for me is a no-go. Especially when I see, yeah, we have a lot of people in common. This person could have at least told me, okay, we know person X, and this person told me to connect with you. By not doing this and just sending a regular connection request, I don't know. You can see when I opened it, there was 382 people doing the same. So it's very hard for me to filter who should I pick up to talk to or not. Same here. Deborah, for example, she's part of a group called Women Tech Network that I'm also part, and I'm one of the leaders. This person, she sent me a connection request. She could have mentioned it. I'm connecting you because of Women Tech Network. I saw your profile there. I want to talk to you about this. But she didn't. So for me, it's like, why is Deborah sending me a message and not saying what she wants? So yeah, I'm not accepting Deborah until she sends another message saying what she wants. This is a good example. Leah, that really explained what she wants. She's asking them maybe a lot, not a lot because I think this can be done quite easily, but on top, Leah find a way for, I think it was Arald, who also wrote me. So Arald wrote me on top saying, I'm sending you Leah, please talk to her. So Leah stand out and I need to accept Leah now because yeah, she's right. I can support on brand, sports brand communities and so on. It's a topic that I relate to, so it's a meaningful contact. So and she did it quite well. Another good example, I'm now picking on Andres. I think, yeah, it's a good example on how we connected and why I'm here today. And I'm just going to highlight the story. So it started some years ago. So I think it was 3 years ago. I was launching a community called Women Who Inspire Rheinmain, and Katharina Fulbraun was one of the speakers of my event. We were organizing it to be here, indeed, at the Goethe University, and I went to Univater. And Katharina, we had a meeting, very good one, by the way, and in the end she told me, well, you shouldn't get to know Andres. You are both
International.
creative, international, whatever, and she connected us. This was 3 years ago. And now, when it comes to timing, we kept contact. We kept meeting each other in different events. We were not doing something very specifically that I could say, okay, we are doing a lot of business. No, we were just meeting, having coffees, having some Red Bulls in some parties sometimes. But recently we just had another lunch and we said, okay, let's try to start doing something. And so we did an event, which was this one, The Women Who Inspire Rhine Mind, last month. And again, here I am today. So I think Andres connected me to a lot of early stage founders, for example, for the first event, and now he's connecting me with you as well. And this is a good example on how the networking opportunities work. So me and Andres were connected 3 years ago, and you need to keep working on that. I'm not sure where this will keep going. We never know. And I'm not expecting that it will bring me 10,000 euros. No, that's not the goal of this. But I'm more than happy to create value to him. And come on, today he is creating value to me as well. So that's how networking works. And I think that's all I had for today. And last note, yeah. If you want really the last highlights, and I reinforced this several times, it's not just about what you know, and that's why I said in the beginning, you had a lot of things happening this week, a lot of things that you need to digest, but it's also about who you know, how they perceive you, and how they remember you. Because that's how you can go across this world and start building value and building projects and realizing your partnerships, synergies, getting clients, getting investors. And that's why I really hope that everything that I kind of said here, that you can use it. The title was, I had to include this one. So if you have questions, if you want me to send you the PDF, I'm more than happy to do it. You have my email number, phone number, WhatsApp. Don't be afraid to reach out to me, but as I said, try to show me the link, or try to tell me, message me and saying, I'm reaching out because of this, and this is what I want. So don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'm gonna send everything. I'm more than happy to open my network. I've been doing this, for example, to you, Eshen. If I can somehow support you with something, just explain me how, why, and I'm pretty sure that somehow we can do it. So if you have some questions, now it's the time.
Okay.